Fast. With Lending Club, you can consolidate your debt or pay off credit cards with one fixed monthly payment. Since 2007, Lending Club has helped millions of people regain control of their finances with affordable fixed-rate personal loans. No trips to a bank, no high-interest credit cards. Just go to lendingclub.com and tell them about yourself and how much you want to borrow. Pick the terms that are right for you, and if you're approved, your loan is automatically deposited into your bank account in as little as a few days. Lending Club is the #1 peer-to-peer lending platform with over $35 billion in loans issued. Go to lendingclub.com/Levin. Check your rate in minutes and borrow up to $40,000. That's lendingclub.com/Levin. Lendingclub.com/Levin. All loans made by WebBank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Levin Show, where we create the talking points. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
Now, when you hear somebody like Trey Gowdy or Paul Ryan say, let Mueller do his job or let the investigation take its course, these are people who have very little knowledge of what's going on here constitutionally, or don't care. In other words, let Mueller do whatever Mueller's going to do. Why? Why? Is he some kind of a god? I don't understand that. Is it not possible that he is exercising or may exercise authority that he doesn't have? Why would Congress sit back? Should we pretend he's the former administrator of the EPA? Would that excite them? No, you don't let him do his job or let the investigation take its course if the course is leading into a serious constitutional problem. We expect Congress to step up. And Congress should not confer all this power on the Supreme Court. Congress has a role. It is a co-equal branch. Congress created the Department of Justice. Congress funds the Department of Justice. And I might say the same thing about the FISA court. Congress sits there. These judges on the FISA court did this country a very serious injustice in approving the FISA warrant 4 different times. Now, I understand the difficulty in holding hearings. I understand the Democrat Party is the party of obstruction and evasion. So create a special committee with certain members of Congress, including some Democrats. A smaller committee, not with 40-some members. That might make it a little bit easier. Maybe, maybe not. But you and I know McConnell's not about to do it, and Ryan's not about to do it, because these are not constitutionalists. And neither are Trey Gowdy and the rest of them who parade across TV land. Now let me address quickly Michael Cohen. I see Professor Turley says the president is one more witness away from being in very, very serious trouble over there. No, he's not. Not in the least. I would ask Professor Turley to explain the 2 memos that came out of the Department of Justice in 2 different administrations. But even that aside, there's no criminal issue here whatsoever. Conspiracy to do something about an election, I heard some news guys say today. I don't even know what that means. I mean, let's just be blunt. The closest campaign that came to conspiring with the Russians was the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC that actually spent money for opposition research and used unverified sources and information from the Kremlin. There's none of that. None of that when it comes to Donald Trump. So you're going to see all these non-experts sitting as experts, giving you their opinion on the Trump Tower meeting with the 2 Russians and on and on and on, and I would encourage you to ignore it. Now, here's one thing that's not being said. Michael Cohen. The only reason Michael Cohen is important is the only reason Stormy Daniels was important, and that is to attack the president. Michael Cohen either will be or should be disbarred. He's a desperate man. He has done something, apparently, for which the feds are investigating. I keep hearing about these medallions and taxis. I don't know what they're talking about. But you can be assured that if it had something to do with Russia or the campaign, that Mueller would not have handed this off to the Southern District of New York. But there was a piece just a few days ago in the Washington Examiner which raises issues that I've been looking into myself. Michael Cohen's tapes of Trump could get him disbarred, experts say. Now, that doesn't bother CNN. Any Stormy Daniels in a storm, that's fine by them. Attorney Michael Cohen could lose his law license as the result of secretly recording former client President Trump, experts say. And when I read this to you, when you think about it, understand why it is so vitally important to have a lawyer who keeps your information confidential, the principle of attorney-client privilege, and attorney work product. Because otherwise, you cannot get a fair case, a fair hearing, a fair trial, if you cannot have a lawyer who is 100% your advocate. Now, if you hire a lawyer for the purpose of committing a crime, that's a different issue. But that's not what took place here. Despite the most aggressive and egregious spin by certain phony pseudo-reporters on CNN and MSNBC. You are allowed to pay somebody to be quiet in the course of a business transaction, in the course of your personal life, whatever it is. You're not obstructing justice because there's not an investigation. You're not contributing to a campaign because you're not using campaign money, not even in-kind campaign money. These are events that took place prior to the campaign. And you're dipping into your own resources in order to make a payment. You can make a payment through an LLC. You can make a payment directly. You can make it with a check. You can make it with cash. It doesn't matter. And yet they debate this endlessly. But imagine if your attorney could tape you, not for the purpose of protecting you, but for the purpose of having something on you just in case. You hire an attorney because you have a business issue you want to deal with, an employment issue you want to deal with, a divorce matter you need to deal with, whatever it is, a custody case. You have every reason to expect your lawyer's not going to tape you. Now, in the 2016 conversation that they're endlessly reporting about, took place in New York. It's perfectly legal to record, but not if you're a lawyer. I wouldn't be surprised if he was disbarred. Absolutely not, said Bennett Gershman, a former prosecutor in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and an expert on attorney misconduct at Pace University's law school. We have so many different scenarios where it's possible that he engaged in ethical misconduct. You start piling one episode on top of another, I could see at the very, very least a suspension, said Albany Law School professor Vincent Bonaventre. I don't think they're going to slap his wrist if any of this is true, he said. There's a complex web of potential offenses within New York's rules of professional conduct for attorneys that Cohen may have committed, experts said. Dishonesty is one potential offense, experts said, including if Cohen helped Trump lie about an affair with McDougal. Or Cohen may have tripped a conflict of interest rule by recording conversations for his own benefit rather than his clients. Or he could have violated other rules in disclosing the conversations. Quote, obviously, lawyers don't do this. This is extraordinary, probably unprecedented, Gershman said about secretly recording a client. The only reason he would do it is to protect himself. And protecting himself over protecting clients is something lawyers are not able to do. It's unethical. Dan Abrams, a New York City-based attorney who specializes in legal malpractice and business litigation, said a 2003 opinion from the New York City Bar's Ethics Committee refused to say secretly taping a client could never be ethically permissible, but they also said it would be rare to have circumstances where an attorney secretly taping a client could be ethically permissible. Rule 1.6 of the New York Rules of Professional Conduct requires attorneys to keep client communications confidential. But Abrams pointed to Rule 1.8b as saying in sum and substance a lawyer cannot use information gained in the representation to the client's detriment absent consent from the client. An attorney can be compelled to keep a client's secret even if the attorney-client privilege does not apply to the secret, Abrams said. Not to get too complicated, that's a confidentiality rule. Confidentiality is even broader. And it goes on. And yet CNN keeps building up Michael Cohen. They keep building the guy up. He's absolutely disreputable. Whether or not he has formally violated any of the rules for practicing law in New York State, and I personally believe he has. Just my opinion. And that will eventually catch up with him. And when Giuliani goes on TV and he says he's already a dead witness, this in part is what he means. This in part is what he means. He's absolutely untrustworthy. And this kind of information would come up in any trial. But a trial for what? A trial for what? No offense has been committed by the president. I'll even go further. An indictment, by the way, is not a conclusion of the matter. No offense has been committed by Don Jr. or Jason or Kirshner. No offense has been committed by anybody in the senior echelon of the Trump world in this regard. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
So here's some exciting news. Simply Safe is now valued at $1 billion. This company used to be just 5 guys working together. The founder only started the company because he wanted to help his friends who were burglarized. Now it's worth $1 billion. Simply Safe protects over 2 million people. And here's what makes them so great. Simply Safe is comprehensive protection for your home with round-the-clock professional monitoring and police dispatch. You get protection against intruders, fires, leaks, and burst pipes. Simply Safe keeps working during power outages, downed Wi-Fi, even if a burglar smashes your keypad. This system is easy to use. It's incredibly intuitive. It takes just minutes to set up. And with Simply Safe, there are no contracts or hidden fees. And 24/7 monitoring is only $14.99 a month. CNET, PC Magazine, and the Wirecutter all named Simply Safe their top pick for home security. Order your Simply Safe system now at simplysafemark.com. Simplysafemark.com. My listeners get free shipping and free returns. That's simplysafemark.com to protect your family and your home today. Simplysafemark.com. Donna, Frederick, Maryland, the great WMAL. Go. Donna, are you there?
What keeps ringing through my head is how deep this scandal actually goes. The one I'm referring to, which is Spygate against Trump, which is the cover-up of Hillary-gate against America and Obama-gate against America. And that's what gets lost in all the mishmash of the media that we're subject to day out, day in, day out, endlessly. And I want to thank you for just kind of honing in on the subject and giving us the details that we're not privileged to get from this lousy mainstream media.
Well, I'll tell you this, Donna. There's a couple of things going on here that we sort through all the time. We talked about Trump and Russia and all the rest of this. And yet you're quite right. On the other side, there are no prohibitions to a criminal investigation of what Hillary Clinton did. And, of course, they conducted a phony criminal investigation and her multiple violations of the Espionage Act. Can you imagine if Donald Trump had done any of that? They'd be hanging him from a telephone pole by his feet right now. Now, that said, there was no special counsel appointed to investigate that side where the FBI interfered in that investigation to protect her, as well as what the FBI at senior levels did in the case of Trump. Now, do you want to know why a special counsel wasn't appointed?
Let's hear it, Mark.
Because it would have been investigating the FBI and the Department of Justice and certain intelligence agencies. That's why. Can you imagine letting loose a special counsel on those departments?
It would have been crazy, but it is now.
So they would not want a criminal prosecutor with 17 other prosecutors, basically an entire United States Attorney's Office. That's what they've recreated here. Investigating Mr. Comey, Mr. McCabe, Mr. Strzok, Ms. Page, and all the rest of them. Investigating Loretta Lynch, Mr. Orr, and others, Sally Yates over at the Department of Justice. Investigating Mr. Brennan and Mr. Clapper and Ms. Rice and all those people who would have been investigated and all would have gone broke, spending millions of dollars defending themselves. That's why Mr. Rosenstein has chosen not to appoint a special counsel in a case where there is a criminal predicate, and yet where there wasn't one, he appoints one. All right, my friend, I appreciate your call. Let's go to Tom. Tom's River, New Jersey, Sirius Satellite. Go.
Hey, Mark, good to talk to you. I think you just hit on what I'm about to give a sermon on. The Democrats, they got their finger in the dike, and they're just dragging their feet. They have to come up with something because everything on their side is like jail time. Everything they've done is like it's obvious jail time, and they have to come up with something, and that's what we're going through. And thanks for talking to me, Mark. You're great.
All right, Tom, appreciate your call, my friend. Let's go to Mike. Olney, Maryland, the great WMAL. Go.
Yes, good morning, sir. Listen.
Good morning. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Olney, Maryland.
Well, it's not morning. It's evening.
Yes, it is evening, and it's Olney, Maryland in Montgomery County.
And it's happy hour where you are, but go right ahead.
Yeah, you're correct on that issue. Listen, why is it the President of the United States exercising his power to fire Jeff Sessions, to put someone else in the place as Attorney General? That person would then subsequently fire Rosenstein.
All right, why do you think he won't do it?
That's a good question.
No. You know the answer. Why won't he do it?
He's afraid of the backlash.
And what's the backlash?
The backlash is these crazy progressives that are going to make noise. So what? Let them make the noise.
No, the backlash. You say so what, sir? We've been through this with the Saturday Night Massacre several decades ago. The media hate his guts, the Democrats hate his guts, and half the Republicans in Congress hate his guts. They will impeach him and remove him from office. That's why he won't do it.
Well, that's a darn shame because, this Mueller and his investigation, he's investigating the...
So basically we right now have a rogue Department of Justice for many purposes. We have a rogue special counsel. Congress won't step up, and the media are all for it. And so that's the situation we're in. It's very, very dangerous.
I would take the aggressive point and just say
No, you wouldn't, sir. You've never run for anything. He's put everything on the line. You haven't.
Well, that's true.
No offense, but I mean, everybody sits at their dinner table and says, if I were president, what I would do. But you're not.
Yeah, you're right. But
listen to me, please. Can you imagine what this man has been put through? What his family's been put through? What his staff has been put through? And everybody willy-nilly, well, if I were president, I would... All right, thanks for your call. No offense, I'm just pointing it out that I think that would be a bad move. I think what he does is he fights this Mueller all the way through the court system, and hopefully there's some justice. I'll be right back. Did you know that good blood pressure is one of the keys to heart health and overall well-being? The good news is that consuming beets, a simple lifestyle change, can help support healthy blood pressure levels. And drinking super beets every day is the best way to get the right amount to make a difference. 1 teaspoon of super beets, the recommended daily serving, is verified to provide the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets, which helps support healthy blood pressure levels. So if you want to have a heart-healthy energy, give your body what it needs and start drinking super beets today. Call 866-205-4907 or go to superbeets.com/Levin to find out how to get a free 30-day supply, indicator testing strips to show how it's working, and free shipping with your first purchase. Call 866-205-4907 or go to superbeets.com/Levin. That's superbeets.com/Levin today.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. The president said today, said, look, if we don't get some money to secure that southern border, we're not going to get an appropriation bill signed. At least I'm not. And if the government shuts down, the government shuts down. The Republicans are frightened by such a prospect. Certain of the president's staff apparently is leaking, and they're frightened by such a prospect. And yet I can't think of a single government shutdown that it's occurred during a Republican presidency that has had an undue negative influence on the outcome of a succeeding election. You know, the last one in 2013 resulted in the Republicans picking up seats in the House and the Senate, but of course Karl Rove spun that because he hated Ted Cruz at the time. We could have done better, he said. Well, Karl couldn't because Karl and his boss, George W. Bush, lost the House and the Senate, which were Republican when they came into power in 2006, and we lost a lot of good people in that election cycle. But again, let's step back and look at this a little differently than what you're hearing on TV and radio. Is it not important to secure the southern border? For 1,000 reasons. Law enforcement, national security, economic. Yes. Well, if you're president of the United States and you campaigned on it, and you were elected by the American people for, among other reasons, to secure it, and the Democrats in Congress don't want to secure it. In fact, they want the opposite. They want open borders to ensure that they have a permanent majority as far as the eye can see. And then you have Republicans in Congress, again, who accommodate the Democrats by trying to demonstrate that they're not the horrible people that the media say they are. Some of them have tough districts. And some of them just lie through their teeth, telling you what you want to hear in an election, and then they go to Washington and reverse course. Must a president tolerate that? Now, Ronald Reagan shut down the government 6 times. He won 2 massive landslide victories, popular vote and electoral college vote. Sometimes you have to do what's right. But it's even more than that, ladies and gentlemen. The debt is out of control. Under a Republican administration and a Republican Congress, the debt is out of control. That budget that was signed was the worst spending bill in American history. They applauded each other. They patted each other on the back. The president did it because he wanted to fund the military. And he's tried to claw some of it back. But McConnell won't allow it. Paul Ryan won't allow it. But it's intolerable. Now, why is it intolerable? Because you talk about a government shutdown, you'll have a shutdown, all right, and we'll never recover from it. Wrote a whole book on this called Plunder and Deceit. You young people listening to this program are younger people. This will destroy your future, no matter what school you went to, no matter what your grades are, no matter how much you work, how much you save, no matter how responsible you are. What's going to happen is the financial state of the federal government will pull everything down. The currency, savings, pension, everything. And when that happens, you'll also see a significant change in our form of government. You already saw it in the Depression with the New Deal and in the Great Society. You'll see more and more of a police state, more and more centralized power, and, of course, the individual will become more and more irrelevant. That's what happens. And now we have a debt that is so massive. Our fiscal operating debt is now over $21 trillion. It's bigger than the GDP, which is about $18 trillion now. And unfunded liabilities, all the entitlement programs and the rest, are now over $230 trillion. Are you aware that when the federal government puts together its balance sheet, it doesn't put the unfunded liabilities on it? Now, when you put together your balance sheet, if you have unfunded liabilities like a mortgage or whatever, you are required to. Or when a business does, it's required to. But the federal government specifically does not. So you don't really know the true financial state of the federal government. And the true financial state is horrific. Horrific. And so even if we have a government shutdown, we're on a long road to correcting this. And in the meantime, we have a party which is embracing democratic socialism, or at least more and more so, and a media that celebrates it. Now, democratic socialism, there are no democratic socialist regimes. The more socialist, the less democratic. That's the whole point. Socialism is about government control, government bureaucracy, redistribution of wealth. A study was done of this, all will come together. A study was done of Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All proposal. Medicare for all, he says. And the study from the reputable, highly reputable Mercatus Center at George Mason University in Virginia said that the Bernie Sanders Medicare for All proposal would cost, in addition to all the other expenses of the federal government, $32.6 trillion over 10 years. Over $3 trillion a year for the next 10 years. Our federal budget right now is slightly over $4 trillion. He's insane. The left are insane. Absolutely insane. It would destroy our healthcare system. It would destroy our economy and eventually destroy our form of government. There is no constitutional basis for any of this. None. And, of course, none of that is in any of the articles because nobody cares about the Constitution anymore. But the spending would be absolutely enormous, uncontrollable. This is before we get to free college. You can only imagine what that would cost. So if you want to destroy your country, if you want to destroy your way of life, you vote for these people like Bernie Sanders or the 28-year-old moron in New York. So this is what the left is pushing. And yet it's the Republicans in the last appropriation bill, omnibus bill, that passed the greatest spending bill, not just in American history, in human history. And we're supposed to be worried about a government shutdown. Now, they tell us that essential personnel will still have to work. So it's a government shutdown with non-essential personnel temporarily staying home. Afterwards, they get paid anyway. Now, this is the kind of discussion I have with you that they typically do not have on my local home station in Washington because of all the government workers. But what I have found is a lot of government workers agree with me. A lot of them agree with me. The government is going to shut down. The economy is going to shut down if we do not get control over this debt. And if we do not get control over the government. And this leads me to the next topic. You notice I am not going on websites and just pulling issues off and doing my Las Vegas lounge act. I leave that to other people. To my great consternation, I will not mention the individuals because I work for Fox, and there's a lot of wonderful people there. I was watching the network the other night, and the issue of Convention of States in Article 5 came up. And our buddy Mark Meckler was on, and he did an outstanding job. But he was interrupted constantly by two individuals who claim to be conservatives, who know nothing about Article 5 and Convention of States, who've read nothing about it, and yet who trashed it left and right. And all one of them could say is, well, I don't believe Mike Lee supports it. Well, I don't believe he supports it either. I love Mike Lee, but he happens to be wrong about this, in my humble opinion. But having written a book on this subject, the book on this subject, and having studied it very, very carefully, I'm appalled when there are people attacking this who don't even know what they're talking about and have no alternative whatsoever. How can you claim to be a constitutionalist when you take a piece of the Constitution and reject it completely? How can you claim to be a federalist, somebody who believes in federalism and the 10th Amendment, when you really don't? And what's the solution? More elections and more judges. That's not a solution. It's barely a temporary fix. How many more Republicans are we going to send to Congress who vote for the biggest spending bill in human history, who refuse to secure the border? And 10 other, 15 other major issues. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Let us go to Eric in Hampton, New Hampshire. Sirius Satellite, how are you, sir?
Yes, one quick comment. Bernie's plan will cost $3 trillion, and there are 325 million residents in the United States. That turns out to $9,000 per capita. Family 4 will be paying $36,000 effectively for health insurance a year.
And let me tell you this. Everybody won't pay. So it'll even be worse for some people who he will claim are rich, who aren't rich. Maybe you'll have a two-income family. So people who tend to vote Democrat will pay almost nothing, and the rest of us will pay far more than even you're suggesting.
Yep. But that's the average cost per capita.
And by the way, sir, imagine the quality of care that we would get. I mean, it's just incredible to me. I was at the thank you for your call. I was at the DMV today. I've had to do more traveling on the weekends than I typically do. And, I go through TSA. And as we all do. Now, my license, my driver's license, started to crack. And I needed a new one. One of the TSA ladies said to me, it's starting to crack. You may get a new one. And she's right. So this morning, I found some time to go to my local DMV. It's packed. And by the way, I don't blame the people who work at the DMV. It's actually a tough job. These states give them 1,000 things to do, and, I don't blame them. But that's the point. It's a systemic problem. An hour and a half later, I got my photo taken. I gave them the information. They already have it on file. All I need is a replacement one. I have a temporary one now. They're going to mail me the other one, so forth, on and on and on. An hour and a half. Not because people were lazy. The people were working hard, quite frankly. They were moving quickly as they could. They have a big board there with numbers and alphabet. I don't know how they have it organized, but it wasn't organized poorly. It just took a long time. That's the problem. That's the problem. We can't even fix the VA, despite all the celebration that the VA's been fixed. The VA will never be fixed. I hate to tell you this. It'll never be fixed. You want to know why? Because it's run by the government like an old Stalinist medical system. It means some people will be taken care of, some people will have good doctors, some people will have good experiences, but an awful lot will not. Some people will see their lives prolonged, but some people will see their lives shortened. And we've seen that too. It's not a high quality across the board. It's just not. And it's certainly not as high quality as the private sector. Or at least you used to be able to choose your doctors, your hospitals, and so forth. Less so now because of the government. But can you imagine 100% control of our healthcare system? And they act like you're going to get quality healthcare when you need it and how you need it. That's not how it works. When it comes to Obamacare, do they give a damn about you? No. Do they give a damn about the deductibles? They're massive. No. Do they give a damn about the premium prices? No. Do they give a damn about the fact that you don't have any choices? You know, if you live in California like my kids do, you basically have two choices, and that's it. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. Well, two choices does not make for a choice, really. It doesn't make for a choice, really. And I'm sure many of you have similar experiences. You don't need to call. I'm sure you do. So all those compassionate liberal Democrats, where are they now? Nowhere. And where are the Republicans who were going to repeal it? Where are they? Nowhere. You get a single-payer system, it changes your country for the rest of time, changes the form of government for the rest of time, and changes your health care for the rest of the time. Not to mention the never-ending expense. The never-ending expense. Let's go to George, Chicago, Illinois, the great WLS country. Go ahead.
Hi. Mark, I love the show. My point is about convention of states.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. However, if we don't have virtuous politicians, they'll violate the new Constitution. So I think we should just keep replacing.
Well, I don't agree. I believe we won't have virtuous politicians. But if you look at, for example, the reform amendments that I propose, much of the power is moved to the state legislatures. And also, there are certain aspects with respect to the Constitution, spending, borrowing, and taxing, that are enshrined in the Constitution with actual limits. So there wouldn't be the ability for politicians to make decisions of that sort. They try and take language and twist it. So it's important that the language that is used is very specific. Moreover, you can't leave it to Washington to police Washington. And that's why, at least in the reform amendments that I propose, 3/5 of the states have power over a final Supreme Court decision. That is, they can hold it null and void, and the states can reverse certain federal regulations, and the states will have a direct route, although difficult, for amending the Constitution without having to go through a convention or without having to go through the federal government. So it depends what you do. If it is your position that there's nothing we can do, then it's over.
It is not. Sir,
all right.
My position is that they don't follow the Constitution now.
But I just explained to you, they don't follow the Constitution now. If they don't matter and some of the power is returned to the states, then the they, that is the Congress, the bureaucracy, and the federal courts, in some instances have little or no say, or are held to account or in check by the state legislatures. There's no other way to do this. I'll be right back.
You know what they say about getting a good night's sleep? It's the good part I was having trouble with. I'd have a hard time falling asleep and staying asleep. Then every morning I woke up achy and stiff with pain in my neck and back. Not good. But that all changed when I switched to a Purple mattress. The Purple mattress is scientifically engineered to sync with your body for superior comfort and sleep. Its open grid design keeps you nice and cool at night so you never sweat the bed. Purple was founded by two brothers who spent 30 years developing cushioning technology on things things like medical beds and wheelchairs. In 2016, they finally decided to use their patented comfort technology to create Purple, the world's most scientific mattress, proven to relieve pressure and prevent back, hip, and shoulder pain. Life's too short to be uncomfortable, so don't be. Have a Purple mattress delivered to your door for a 100-night risk-free trial. Don't like it? Get your money back. Learn more at purple.com. Sleep well and sweet dreams.
Mark Levin, the voice the liberals want to silence. But you can talk to Mark at 877-381-3811.
Looks like every college left-wing flunky now wants to run in a Democrat primary to promote democratic socialism. Bet you'll never guess my favorite place to sit. Well, actually, if you've been listening to this show, I bet you know my favorite place to sit. It's on my new X chair. I'm sitting on it right now, behind the desk in the bunker. I sit in this chair probably 7 or 8 hours a day. Now, the X chair is not only the most modern and stylish piece of furniture I own, it is luxuriously comfortable. It molds itself to my body, giving me ideal posture, which in turn gives me more energy, better concentration, and more productivity than I ever thought possible. Don't waste another day in that generic chair you've been using. Get an X chair and feel the difference. And I might add, you want to keep your back healthy, your lower back, the middle of your back, your upper back, and your neck. This is another reason why I have my X chair, because I needed it to help me, and it has helped me a hell of a lot. And by the way, if you own a company, you can get them for the entire office and see how much your employees appreciate them and how productive they become as a result. Now, here's a special deal just for my listeners, and that's no joke, because X-Chair advertises here and here only. Go to xchairlevin.com right now. That's xchairlevin.com. You'll get $100 off, $100 off. That's xchairlevin.com, or call their toll-free number if you happen to be sitting in traffic, 1-844-4XChair. 1-844-4XChair. X-Chair comes with a 30-day, no questions asked guarantee for complete satisfaction, so there's no risk whatsoever. And by the way, if you go to xchairlevin.com right now and use code LevinFootrest, that's xchairlevin.com, use code Footrest. You'll get a free footrest. Or call them and use code Footrest at 1-844-4XChair. 1-844-4XChair or xchairlevin.com. I know you're going to love this. I really do. And I wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't true. And those of you who've now acquired one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's continue. Let's go to Diana, Springfield, Illinois, on the Mark Levin app. How are you?
Hey, Mark, how's it going? Hey, we really appreciate everything you do here and stuff, and you keep going and get 'em.
Well, thank you. Illinois, the land of Lincoln and the land of Little Dick Durbin.
That's right. Well, yeah, Little Dick Durbin's right, you know, but in reference to this Michael Cohen stuff, okay, so how can he violated his attorney-client privilege getting them tapes and stuff. I want to know how that they can use those anyway, even though
First of all, he violated confidentiality, not to be too technical, by making the tapes. And then in my view, he violated attorney-client privilege by turning them over, assuming they involve his client, not just the press, to any government official. Your question is, how can they use the tapes? Well, we have a federal judge. She's extremely liberal in Manhattan. Her name is Kimba Wood, and she appointed a master who is also a very liberal woman who is overseeing this project of eviscerating what's left of attorney-client relationships, and she's calling the shots. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening.
So she's sitting there as a special master and making the decisions, apparently. Now, the leaking, that's separate and apart. Either Cohen or Lanny Davis and or somebody else in that circle. I'm not saying it's Lanny. I don't know. They're obviously leaking. Yeah. And that in itself could be the basis for disbarment.
And, it's so important. This midterm election, I think, is going to be one of the most important that we've ever had, and I just hope that people vote Republican, because if them Democrats get in charge, we're going to be in big trouble,
Steve Bannon said something the other day, or maybe it was today, I'm not sure, which I have now been saying for some time. And that is, in this particular election, in this midterm, you better vote for Republican. Not because you expect them to secure the border, not because you expect them to cut the spending, because they're not, but in order to protect the President of the United States. Because if they take the House, it's over. They will. I talked about this. I've talked about it repeatedly. They will bog him down in subpoenas and document requests and investigations. They will rip his staff to pieces. They will stop any appropriations bills from going through. They will shut down the government. We will have absolute anarchy.
And you're right. The way that they treat this president, it's unprecedented. I've never, ever seen or heard anything like what they're doing to this man. And the press is just it's out of control. Every night. Because
it's not really a free press. And I've been spending a lot of time talking about this. In the sense that certainly they're free to broadcast, free to print, free to speak, that sort of thing. But it's not a free press in the sense that a free press was intended. What they're doing is making it more and more difficult for the republic to function. And what they're trying to do is so burden this president. When you see these people yelling questions, they're not really questions that we don't already know about. They're doing it to disrupt him. So to disrupt this presidency, undermine it, and sabotage it. I mean, that's the truth, isn't it?
If the elections go okay and the Republicans stay in charge, that they'll finally be done with this Russian stuff. Because
I don't know about that. Mr. Mueller is he's not he doesn't exist as a consequence of any election, and that's part of the problem. All right, Diana, I appreciate your excellent call. Let's continue, shall we? Helen, Westchester, New York, the great WABC. Go.
Mark, this is a great pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you.
I was just listening to your last caller, and I wanted to just say something on that. The constant beat of the liberal drum is really starting to hurt the silent majority in this country. I don't think we're going to stand for anything. If the House is taken over by the Democrats, it's not the end. Maybe just the beginning, because we have had enough. And there's
well, maybe it's the beginning of the end. It's not enough to have enough. It's not enough to have enough. We have people who are now ruling over us, and they do not want to give up their power. And if they get more power, it's one thing to be furious in the privacy of your home, at your dinner table, in your workplace, in your own mind, and so forth and so on. But I do not want to, I can't overstate this, which is we are, in my view, and I've been saying this is, and people rejoice, oh, what do you mean? We're moving towards a tyranny. We are in somewhat of a soft tyranny. That's not to say you can't see movies, you can't buy your iPhone, this, that, and the other. But when it actually comes to many aspects of your life, the circle of liberty is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, whether it's choosing health care, whether it's what your kids are free to say on college campuses, and on and on and on. So it's not enough for people to say, we're not going to put up with it anymore. Well, apparently we are. What are we going to do?
Something a little more drastic, I believe, is on the horizon. It's happened before in America. And
but you know what? When societies collapse and everything you have is destroyed or potentially destroyed, it's not a very pretty thing. And sometimes the good guys don't win. No. All right, my friend, I appreciate your call. I very much do. Tim, Shreveport, Louisiana, XM Satellite, go.
Mark, if I was to be able to pick Attorney General, you were the man.
Thank you. I'd need a recess appointment because something tells me I'd probably get 3 votes in the Senate.
You were my first pick when President Trump was elected, but I feel like you made the statement about us being insignificant. We already feel insignificant. And we feel like we can't do anything when you have politicians that lie. They lie against the accomplishments of this administration. They lie about their investigations. I don't understand how do we hold them accountable? There's got to be some way to hold these people accountable for all the lies they tell.
I want to send you a copy, so Mr. Producer and Mr. Call Screener, don't hang up, Tim, of the Liberty Amendments. And I want you to become active in this in Louisiana.
I think they ought to be in the government classes in every high school as textbooks.
Thank you. Thank you. You're very, very kind. Don't hang up, Tim. Appreciate it. One of the things I love about doing this show is the diverse geography, the diverse accents. And you know what? It makes me feel really great, and I hope it does with you, too. We're talking to a lady from New York City, talking from a gentleman from Shreveport, Louisiana, talking to a lady from Springfield, Illinois, all conservatives, all constitutionalists, all patriots, all proud of their country. That should put a smile on your face, and that should make you feel at least a little better. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You know, this Ronan Farrow, he keeps breaking these sexual harassment stories. His mother's Mia Farrow. And I believe the claim is that the father is Woody Allen. But maybe I'm wrong, but I see a lot of Frank Sinatra there. And Frank Sinatra, of course, was married to Mia Farrow, too. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not making any allegation. Although if it were me, I'd rather that than Woody Allen, but that's just me. 3.8 million Americans are reading in Primus for free every single month. I hope you're one of them, because we can fix that right now. It's the very best and largest digest of conservative thought, and it's published by Hillsdale College, and you can receive it for free at levinforhillsdale.com, Levin for Hillsdale.com. And Primus is always outstanding, always free, as part of Hillsdale's efforts to teach all Americans how to pursue truth and defend liberty. Don't you wish all colleges and universities could do this? But only one does, and only one can. I think it's one of the most important publications in the country. I read it every month. We look forward to it showing up in our mailbox. This month's edition is particularly powerful, featuring Vice President Mike Pence's message to Hillsdale's graduating class. It's a message that will teach you, challenge you, inspire you. You really need to read it. Start reading in Primus and learn how to defend freedom, starting with the current issue. Vice President Pence will help ground you in the teachings and traditions that are our greatest heritage as Americans, the same teachings and traditions that are the surest foundation of a boundless American future. Visit levinforhillsdale.com to get your free subscription to Primus, no strings attached, levinforhillsdale.com. Now, if you like my show, you're going to love Primus. That's Levin, Levin for Hillsdale.com. By the way, in September, I will announce the details later. I will be in California, in KRLA country, as we do each year. My wonderful kids are out there, my grandkids. But I'll be going there with my beautiful wife, Julie, at an event at KRLA, 870 The Answer. Again, I'll give you more details the next few days and weeks, but we very much look forward to seeing you there. And it's a trip I much enjoy. All right, let's take some calls. Let's see here. Let's go to Israel in Morristown, New Jersey, the great WABC. Yes, sir, go right ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that there's really nothing we could do other than the Convention of States. I want to suggest that in 99 days from now, there's actually going to be an election where the American people have the opportunity.
All right, Israel, we're well aware that the question was raised in the context of a systemic problem. And in terms of dealing with the systemic problem, the out-of-control courts, the out-of-control spending, out-of-control federal government generally, and the post-constitutional consequences of this, we are going to vote, and we understand what voting means, but that won't fix almost 100 years of what the progressives have done to the constitutional order.
May I suggest how we can actually fix it in this election? Basically, what the progressives have done, they've taken over the power. What we have to do, basically, is to vote for people that are not progressive. In fact, there is a way to do it by basically going across party lines and voting on principle, and only voting for those who actually commit to restore the Constitution.
Sir, were you part of the Tea Party movement?
There's actually a website where...
Can you answer? No. I'm not going to let you hawk a website. I asked you a question. Were you part of the Tea Party movement?
Oh, I've been part of the Tea Party movement.
How many Tea Party conservatives did we send to Congress who turned on us?
That is the problem. That's true.
Oh, it is a problem. That is true. How many people have turned on us who said they're conservative and they turn out not to be? You can keep doing this, and you'll get the biggest budget in American history, and you'll have open borders and so forth. I will be voting Republican for somebody who's a dear friend and I'm gravely disappointed in because I want to protect this president, and I want to protect the Constitution. And this effort to overthrow this president with baseless impeachment charges requires my vote to try and stop it. But I'm not going to say to my audience here with some Pollyanna answer that just keep voting Republican and just keep trying to do the best you can, appoint conservative or constitutionals to the courts, and that'll fix it. That's not correct. It won't.
If we vote for...
Thanks for your call. Doesn't matter what I say. Because he doesn't want to get his hands dirty. He doesn't want to get involved in the Convention of States. Look, I was active in the Reagan campaign in 76 and 80. I served in his administration for 8 years. It was a golden period for this country. And he set a foundation on which the Bush family could have built. But they didn't. They lurched back to the Republican progressivism of Theodore Roosevelt. And so many Republicans since and before. And the fact of the matter is, as I've said before, we really have only had 2 conservative presidents in the last century, and that was Coolidge and Reagan. And hopefully Trump will turn out to be one as well. But those are the only 2 in the last century. We've had soft progressives for the most part. And so we've now reached a point, in my view, where we need to use the Constitution to save the Constitution. You'll have people who write books and write articles and go on about progressivism, what a danger it is, where our country's going, and then when you come up with the answers and how and some of the solutions, it's no, you can't do that. Just vote. A lot of the never-Trumpers are that way. So let us go to John in Los Angeles, 870 The Answer, KRLA. Go.
Mark, thank you so much for supporting Convention of States. I saw that Fox News piece, and it was really disgraceful how they treated Mark Meckler. It's wrong. I wanted to comment to you.
And not only that, they were utterly ignorant.
Absolutely. They didn't know what they were talking about. Just they were big government, and that was it. But I wanted to just comment to you. I feel as though the American people have lost the idea of being a citizen, and we're being forced into the old 18th century subject model. Mm-hmm. That's what all of this large government progressivism is all about. And I have this on my personal level. I'm trying to convert my garage into a bedroom, and the amount of hoops that I have to go through simply in the city government to get a permit to change the structure of my own home that I'm paying the mortgage on and the property taxes on is outrageous. And
John, you might be right. You may well be right. All right, I hope you're wrong, but you may be right. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. You see, ladies and gentlemen, if an attorney general or deputy attorney general can appoint a special counsel with no criminal requisite whatsoever to investigate a president because they feel pressured to do so by the opposition party in Congress and by the media, that will fundamentally alter the way our government functions or does not function. And we now have people in the government, some in the bureaucracy, some in Congress, and we have people in the media. We're rooting for that outcome. They do not want a president like Trump or conservative or Republican presidents to be successful. So they want to constantly dog them. They want to have this new precedent set. And I'm telling you, we can't recover from something like this. That's why the president should not sit down for an interview. That's why they should take it all the way up to the Supreme Court. That's why we cross our fingers and hope the Supreme Court knows what the hell it's doing. May not.